Hello, and thank you for joining today's AAMI News in Conversation. I'm Danielle McGeary, AAMI's Vice President of Healthcare Technology Management. And today I have with me Bryant Hawkins, who's an esteemed HTM professional, podcaster, and now author. Welcome, Bryant.
Hey, Danielle, thank you for having me.
We're so excited to learn about your book. Now, I have to ask you, I know you've been doing your podcast for a while, but what made you break into becoming an author? Like, what made you want to do this? Because I know it's a huge undertaking to write a book.
It's a huge undertaking. But honestly, what made me do it was, Chase had his book and also Jennifer. Then you have a couple of other, Ben Zhang. Everybody have books. But I was talking to Byron Webster and he said, man, you need to write a book. I said, man, what am I write a book about? He said, well, you do a lot of motivational videos and things like that. Those could be chapters. I said, well, never thought about it. So I started playing around with it. And I never saw a book where it's talking about inspiring people, sharing personal stories, and trying to help people just to hold on. So that gave me the inkling to start.
And
And
the book
then
is so inspiring. Reading it myself, it just gives so much light, and you can't help but feel motivated after reading it. But what need, do you feel that this really helps in the HTM field too?
I personally believe that that's a huge need because the transition is so huge now with people leaving and people coming in. And that's where that mentorship is not being put in place because for you to become a mentor with someone, you have to first get to know them. And by us losing a lot of biomeds and then a lot coming in, it's missing. And
Yeah.
so I think this book really helps in that aspect. And I've had a lot of people thank me for the videos I've been doing. So I'm like, you know what? If I can get them something in written form, it can probably last a little longer. And I can share more information in more detail.
Absolutely. So how long did it take you to write this, like from start to completion? Like for people that don't understand what it takes to write a book, can you kind of shed a little light on that?
Oh man, I think I put too much pressure on myself. It took me, I started actually a week after MD Expo. No, after not MD Expo, Amy. So that's a short time period.
Like this
But
past Amy?
yes, and
Oh,
the only thing that helped, I used a lot of my motivational videos I already did. So I kind of had the outline for the chapters pretty much there. I had to elaborate. And I don't have babies anymore. My kids are all grown. So a lot of late night oil, getting up early in the morning and writing. And the writing part was the most challenging part because you got to have proper English, make sure it's readable and spell checks. I did a lot of editing. And then my wife read it and she need to correct all of this, change the font completely. So I had to change every single font in the book because she didn't like the way it was looking. So it's like it was extremely challenging. But once I got into it, I just started feeding off of it. And before I knew it, the book was there. Not to mention, like I share this one story. I shared it with Monty Gonzalez, and Monty told me, you got to go deeper. I said, man, what do you mean? I was proud. And he said, you need more, you need more. So I wind up almost rewriting, adding another almost 50 pages
oh my
because I'm
goodness.
deeper enough. Yeah, he told me I got to dig in. So, and he was right because I was just paraphrasing some stuff instead of going deeper into it. So that took more, but trying to get it out before the next show comes up, that's what I was trying to do. And it worked out, but I would never do it this short period again. It's a lot of work. It's not for the weak.
No, not at all. I mean, even just the editing. I mean, I'm sure that's just such an arduous process. Like even just for
Yes.
your email is a lot of work. Never mind, doing it for, you know, all the pages. So,
Yes.
what I think makes it very endearing is like, and I think you touched upon this, are the personal stories and going deep. If you
Mhm.
had like one key story that was your favorite that you wanted to share, what is your favorite one that you shared and why?
It was the one about humanized, about everyone being a human in the HTM industry. Even though we have a professional life, we have a personal life. And I shared the story about when I relocated to Florida and my family had to. This is the first time my family wasn't one because my daughter stayed behind in Louisiana, and the other three of us moved to Florida. And my son left all his friends behind. He had to go to a new school, new city. My wife left all her family behind. They had to go to a new city. And then me, I felt like the villain because they all did it so I can have a job to take care of the family. So it was like a big challenge. But from that challenge came a lot of what to say. I mean, he said sometimes you don't whatever you go through, you grow through.
Yeah.
So going to Florida probably was the best thing that happened to our family. Matter of fact, my son still lives in Florida, the place he said he will never live in. There's nothing gonna keep him there. But now he's there. He didn't even come home with us. But we
Isn't it?
came back home, and but that challenge was extremely difficult because I've never moved away from Louisiana and was out there for like 4 years. But that story is pretty good, and it gives a human side to this industry, and no doubt we all have one.
And what I love about that is, being a mom myself, like we're all just trying to do the best for our family, for the field.
Mhm.
I think it really brings that real life to it that, we're not always, there's so much more that we're all battling, besides our out front jobs. And I love how you touched upon that. And for the folks that don't know you well, I mean, your son is now a BMET. I mean, think of the inspiration you've been, even though he may have been a little disgruntled, look at the outcome. And
Absolutely.
he's so proud. I had the pleasure of meeting him, and he's just a joy as much as you are.
Yep,
Um,
yep.
you also touched upon, a women in HTM chapter as well that really highlights diversity. And obviously, we know the HTM field is not very diverse. You and I are both minorities in the field, right? And
Mhm.
I guess I just really wanted to touch upon that because I think when I was on your podcast a year
Mhm.
ago, the best part of the conversation I think we had was off camera. We talked about our humble beginnings, and
Mhm.
I think that builds character in who we are and to show that you don't need to come from a gated community, right? To be, at the pinnacle of your career like you. So, do you want to kind of just touch upon that a bit as well?
Oh yeah, I mean, I can tell you my I works company I work at Trimedics, and I might have the most diverse department in the United States because I have a African American, Asian, uh, Mexican, and a Caucasian. Yeah, but we touch on every basis. So I said, man, we were very diverse here. But you're absolutely right. When that's one of the reasons why I go speak at these inner city schools. And I tell the kids all the time, look, I was sitting in the exact same chair you was in, didn't have a clue what I wanted to do, didn't know how I was going to go about making a living to take care of a family. And I share with them about this industry because in this industry, you can come from any background and you could be successful. And it doesn't require you to spend a boatload of money to do it. And then, of course, I share the story with my son to show them that it could be done even at an early age. It doesn't require you to be in your 30s. It could be he's been taking care of himself since he was 19 years old. And that's just 2 years older than the kids I be talking to. So I tell them this industry has that benefit. And then I share with them I think it's 90%, 92% white. And I tell them that doesn't mean it's not a racial thing, it's an exposure thing. And I said that's why I'm here exposing this to you guys because the need is there and you just need someone to make you aware of it. And that's the benefit I think of this industry. It doesn't see color. It just sees opportunity.
Agreed. And I think that's what I love about what you do. I mean, the amount of outreach you do just in the New Orleans area and everywhere across the country, like it is amazing. Like you probably speak to like what, thousands and thousands of kids a year. It is
Yep.
unbelievable. And I think you are the best example of, instead of, complaining that, there's a diversity issue or lack of people coming into the field, like getting out there and doing it and making,
Yes.
because you're absolutely right. And what you're doing is you're providing an opportunity to people that didn't know the opportunity existed. And that's how we make change together. So thank you for all you do out there in the field, and always handing out our Amy swag at the events too. We get a lot of people saying, "Oh, we heard of you at Bryant's event." So it's just so endearing in all you do, and we love working and partnering with you. So I do have one final question about the
Okay.
book. You
Hmm.
talked about your 30 lessons you've learned in 30 years. So If you had to impart wisdom on anyone listening to this, what is your one or two favorite lessons that you've learned that you would impart upon anyone listening to this interview right now?
Oh man, all of them, but nah. My first one, humility. That's the one I started with that one because I learned that lesson as soon as I got into this industry. Because when I finished the program and I had a celebration, took a week off, and I woke up Sunday and grabbed this is funny here, the classified section, because there was no internet you can go on. So I opened the classified page up. Not one single job was in there. So I took a job at the hospital working in the surgery department, operating laparoscopic equipment, cleaning medical equipment, and also being a surgery orderly. And then I go volunteer in a biomed department after work. So that took a lot of humility for me to take on a job that I went to school to fix the equipment, but I was cleaning it. So that kind of showed me where you need that humility. And one other one I'll share is the support system. I taught everyone you need to have a cheerleader, a coach, and a mentor. You have your cheerleader, that's the one that's going to be the one that's going to be celebrating any accomplishment you make. You have the coach who can help you navigate through a tough time with your career. They can tell you, well, try steps A, B, C, D. And you have that mentor who's going to tell you exactly how it is with complete transparency. That person can be all three, or you can have three people, or those three people could change as your career goes on. So I think having a great support system and being humble is two of the many lessons I think you can learn, which is 28 more in my book too.
Oh my God. Well, Brian, I mean, I just like have chills. This is so amazing. So let's talk about the book. It comes out October 1st, right?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Buy it. How can we get our hands on this?
HTM, we go to my website, htmontheline.com, and you can buy it on the website, go under the shop tab, and it's available for pre-order right now, but it definitely goes out October 1st, and you get your hands on it in a couple of days.
That is so amazing. Well, please support Bryant and buy his book. And Bryant, congratulations. I mean, it's a huge
Thank you.
accomplishment to write a book, and we're so proud of you. And, we're happy to support you. And hopefully we can make it a New York Times bestseller.
There we go.
All right. Thanks, Bryant.
Thank you, Danielle.